Are you thinking about making a move to the Seattle area here in 2024? I've got 5 things that you should be aware of before you move over here to keep in mind. As always, I'm Bryce Greenleaf, a local real estate agent here in the greater Seattle area. I love helping you guys out, those of you that reach out to me here from YouTube when you're making the move over here. If you're making a move, you're looking to purchase a home and you need help with that process, feel free to reach out to me. Would be more than happy to help. But like I said, this video is going to be about some things you should know before you're moving over here. Now, this isn't going to be general items like, hey, it rains over here and it's got gray weather and we have a lot of traffic. I've talked about all that stuff on previous videos. I've got some great videos covering those types of topics. I'm going to cover some things here that are more timely, that are actually going to be happening in 2024 to give you some perspective on what to expect and some different things to consider if you're shopping for homes and thinking about buying a place over here. Now, number one here is expect home prices to be on the rise next year. We saw 2023 and really the second half of 2022, we saw a lot of fluctuation in prices. We saw prices go down in a lot of areas late 2022, early 2023, especially as those interest rates started to climb up and we really hit that 8% mark with those mortgage rates. Now, as we move through here, we're in December here at the end of 2023. As we're moving into next year, rates have really started to come down. We're hovering in the 6 to 6.5% range, which is quite a big drop from where we were at 8% not too long ago in the middle of this year. So with that progression in rates coming back down, we are starting to see more buyers come out and be active in the market. We're going to start to see more activity. And of course, with more activity, we are going to see a rise in home prices. We have already started to see home prices go back up here towards the end of this year. And I would only expect that to continue to happen into next year. Now, we don't know exactly how low rates can get next year. Maybe they hover around 6%. Maybe we do get into the 5s. Either way, more buyers will be hitting the market. People that have been sitting on the sideline when rates were in the mid 7s and 8s and they didn't want to buy then, and now they see those rates come down quite a bit and they will start entering the market again. So we will see a jump in home prices. So keep that in mind. It's not going to be like a 2021 jump where we saw a 15 to 20% increase in median home values in a 12-month period. We're not going to see that next year. It's not going to be that crazy, but we will see home prices start to go back up, so just be prepared for that. Point number 2 here is about new construction homes. A lot of you that reach out to me here from YouTube are looking for new construction opportunities, whether you want to be right in Seattle or you're looking to live in the suburbs. If you're not looking to live in the urban areas like Seattle, where there is quite a bit of new construction with DADUs and townhomes, which we'll talk about here later on this video, if you're looking for a community, a suburb outside of Seattle, outside of the main city, there are some options for new construction. There's a lot of options for new construction over here. Now, what I wanted to point out is the general rule of thumb: the further east you go, the more new construction opportunities you will find. So right along the I-5 corridor here on the west side, there's certainly some options for new construction, but not nearly as much. There's not land readily available much anymore here close to I-5 on the west side. So in order to get those big plots of land where those developers are going through and building large communities, you really have to start going further east. So if you're on the north side, you're talking about places like Lake Stevens and Snohomish and Monroe. Or if you're going further down south, talking about places like Duval, even Snoqualmie, North Bend, Maple Valley, Black Diamond, Bonnie Lake. Those are some areas that are really starting to expand and have a lot of new construction options that could really fit what you're looking for if that's something that you want. And now along that lines, point number 3 here is the ever expanding suburbs here in Seattle. There's so many people that are moving out of Seattle, they're moving out of Bellevue, and they're going further and further away. Whether that's because they work remote and they no longer are tied to a commute, or they're just looking for opportunities elsewhere and they're okay with a commute, or they're looking for other jobs a little bit further outside of the city. There are a lot of people that have started to push further and further outside of those city centers. Because of that, suburbs, these cities, these smaller towns, they're trying to keep up with demand, and With all this new construction, specifically on these east side cities, like I mentioned, there's also a lot of development going into the downtown areas, the little historic downtowns or the smaller towns, and developing new stores, new, Costco's going in, and new grocery centers going in, and new medical clinics going in all of these suburbs all around the Seattle area. So if you're looking for somewhere to live and you're not really tied into Seattle, tied into a commute to Bellevue, and you want to be in a suburb that's really starting to expand and starting to come up with more amenities that are offered close by, there are going to be a lot of options for you. And a lot of those are the ones that I just mentioned on those east side, like the Lake Stevens, like the Snohomish, like the Monroes. Duval is building quite a bit. Bonnie Lake, with some new construction down there, specifically the Tahali community, has really come along. Black Diamond 10 Trails down in that area has really started to build, has really been building over the last decade and continues to expand. So there's going to be a lot of options for great suburbs that are going to start offering more things within those communities, more amenities where you may not have to drive outside of those communities nearly as often. Now, the number 4 thing I want to talk about and make you aware of is our Lightrail extension. So Lightrail is our train system that has been developing again over the last decade here in the greater Seattle area. Currently, it's running through Seattle. It goes up as far north as Northgate and as far south as SeaTac. Now, they're expanding this light rail in all directions to try and make it more friendly for people that are living further and further outside of the city and make commuting a little bit easier because, as you know, or as you've probably heard, traffic here in the Seattle area is not great. We have a lot of traffic issues, especially there in Seattle with how landlocked the city is. We have a lot of heavy rush hour traffic times that just make it very difficult to get around at certain times of the day. Even as you go further north and south outside of the city, when it's not quite as landlocked, it still can be pretty bad. So they're really expanding this light rail to try and ease some of these issues. Now, 2 of the biggest expansion projects going on right now are going to have some openings here in 2024, some new stops, some new things happening in 2024 that you should be aware of. Number 1 is the East Light Rail Extension. So this is going from Seattle. It's going over Lake Washington to Bellevue and Redmond. This is a huge extension. It's taking really directly from Seattle to all of these tech jobs on the east side, like Microsoft. The Microsoft campus there, there's going to be a light rail station very close by, and all the other great jobs and not just jobs, but places to live on the east side. So if you maybe are working at Amazon headquarters or somewhere in Seattle and you want to live on the east side in these beautiful neighborhoods, there will be options now for you to drive to that light rail station in Bellevue or Redmond and take the light rail over to Seattle, so you don't have to worry about that traffic on I-90 or the 520 bridge and trying to park at your job in Seattle. This will really give another great option for those that are needing to commute back and forth from the Seattle and Bellevue areas. There's going to be 8 stops between Bellevue and Redmond. There's been some delays, so it's probably not going to be fully opened until 2025, but they are discussing the possibility of doing a light opening in 2024. So keep an eye on that. If you're considering the east side cities and you work in Seattle or vice versa, you want to live in Seattle, but you may be taking a job in the east side cities. Again, that's Bellevue, Redmond, and even the ones close by like Kirkland. Keep that in mind that could be a possibility very soon to give you another option for commuting. The second extension we'll talk about here is going further north. So currently the furthest north station is Northgate, and I come here relatively often. I live on the north side, so whenever we're going down for a sporting event, a Seahawks game, something like that, a Kraken game, very often we'll just park at that Northgate station and take the train the rest of the way down. It's usually quite a bit easier. You don't have to worry about parking, paying for parking, finding parking, all that kind of stuff. And so they are expanding this light rail a little bit further north. There's going to be 4 more stops that are going to be going in and active here in 2024. There's going to be 2 in Shoreline. There's going to be 1 in Mount Lake Terrace, and there's going to be 1 in Linwood. So again, for those that are living on the north side in the north side suburbs, this is going to be a great option and much more friendly for you to be able to get on that light rail and get down to Seattle or get down to the airport. I mean, this is one of the best ways to get to the airport. Personally, you don't want to park at the airport. It's terrible. You don't want to ask your friend or your family member to drive you all the way down to the airport in rush hour and make them deal with that traffic. So this light rail is going to ease some of that as well, and it's going to be great having those stops in. Now, along with that, of course, it's going to increase home values in these areas. They're also trying to build up around these light rail stations, specifically in Linwood. There's been a lot of new condos and apartment complexes going on around here because it is going to be so much more commuter friendly that people can live in these areas potentially without having to have a car and have more amenities close by. So it's really building up these areas as a whole. But just keep that in mind. The north side, you've got 4 more stops, 2 in Shoreline, 1 in Mount Lake Terrace, and 1 in Linwood that will be going in and active here in 2024. It's supposed to be summer to fall of 2024. All right, and the last point here, point number 5 I want to talk about is DADUs. So DADUs is a detached accessory dwelling unit. And with the recent zoning changes in Seattle over the last few years, it's really allowed people and developers to provide more opportunities for a little bit more affordable housing. So what a DADU is it's a detached dwelling unit. And usually what you do is you're taking a home here in Seattle, and it might be on this rectangular longer lot, and you can actually build a home, a second home, on the same lot. So you have the original single family home in front, and then you have a new home in the exterior, and you can put these homes into a condo association. So you can actually sell these homes individually. So you can keep the single family home up front, and you can build this new construction home out back, and you can sell this home individually. And these could range anywhere from 700 to 900,000. There's some townhome options where they build a cluster of townhomes that could be a little bit cheaper, 500 to 600,000. But the point of this is there is a little bit more affordable options in Seattle when it comes to new construction. Now, of course, Seattle in general is a more expensive area to live, so we're not comparing affordable to maybe, 45 to 48 of the other states in the U.S. and their definition of affordable housing. But it is a bit more affordable than some of the other options that have been available to people in Seattle, especially when you talk about new construction, brand new homes, very nice quality homes. This has really gained a lot of steam over the last few years, and it will just keep going. So if you're looking for something, maybe a little bit smaller home, but you want a detached home, you want to be on a lot in a Seattle neighborhood, you want something that's 800 to 1,300 square feet, a 2-story home, it's brand new construction, and you want to be under $1 million, there are options like that, and they're typically these DADUs that are being built. All right, well, this wraps up. These are the 5 things that I think you should just keep in mind if you are planning to move over here to the Seattle area in 2024, some changes that are taking place and are affecting the real estate market as a whole here in Seattle. So like I said, I'm an active real estate agent over here. So if you're coming over here, you're looking to purchase a place and you're looking for that right place to live, or you're looking for an investment property, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help you with that. Thanks for watching this one.